All right, welcome back. Secretary of State Mike Pompeo heading to North Korea on Thursday, back again to hammer out a timeline for denuclearization. The Trump administration now saying that the president wants all nukes out of that country in 1 year. So are we closer to peace or more problems? Here with Expert Insight is national security analyst Rebecca Grant. Thank you so much for coming on this morning, Doctor. We appreciate it. I want to read you a quick quote from an NBC News article that surprised a lot of people when it came out a few days ago. There is absolutely unequivocal evidence that they are trying to deceive the United States. This is basically saying that CIA sources have told them that they're enriching uranium over there, and we're doing so while we were negotiating this deal. What do you say to that?
Well, first, I don't think we have any unequivocal evidence. To me, this and some of the satellite photos on the internet are a little bit of fluff. Face it, the Trump administration has far better intelligence sources. We have spectacular satellites, military forces in the region. We have allies. Mattis was recently in Beijing. And as we know, Pompeo is heading over to the region. So I think what we have to do right now is sit tight and see what Pompeo brings back from his visit to North Korea.
I understand that, but this article did cite what it said were, I think, close to a dozen CIA-type sources and other intelligence agency sources. Is there a chance that there is some deception here, that maybe the White House is trying to work around, they're trying to figure it out, or maybe that happened before the Singapore summit? Were they still doing this and maybe they've stopped since then?
Well, it's North Korea, so there's always a chance that they are a problem. They are known cheaters. But here's where we are. Kim Jong-un has said that he's going to denuclearize, and frankly, uncomfortable though it is, we are waiting to see if he will implement what he said he'll do. And we just don't know yet. Right. I'm curious too, but we are not going to be shared with fresh intelligence at this point in time, nor should we be. So we have to wait. No missile tests going on, and the North is clearly seriously negotiating, and that is a major step forward still.
Well, yeah, and that's what the president keeps bragging about, the fact that there haven't been any missiles flying over Japan. They're not yet there for the ICBM, the Intercontinental Ballistic Missile. They can't get that re-entry figured out yet. And without that, the threat remains somewhat tempered, right?
That's exactly right. Kim Jong-un did not complete the tests. He's about a dozen tests short of getting a realistic reentry trajectory, and we have that from our Joint Chiefs of Staff. So the fact that there are no missiles makes this whole effort worthwhile. That and the fact that we do see continued steady progress in the inter-Korean negotiations. They've talked about maritime issues, roads, family matters with the two Koreas. So the fact that that's going on is still very important.
Want to switch gears, want to go back here to this continent and go to Mexico, and we've just had a new president elected in Mexico. He is a leftist. I think he might be considered a socialist. We're going to call him AMLO because his name is so long. He's popular there. He's tried to run 3 times. He finally got it. He wants to go softer on drugs in Mexico, which is pouring drugs out of it already, and he wants to go really soft on migration to the United States, says it's a right for people to come to the United States if they want to. Is he proving the president's border policy by giving this kind of rhetoric?
Well, I think he's certainly proving that Mexico is an important issue, and President Trump is right about that. AMLO said a lot during the campaign, some worrying things about the universal right. And I think the big question, he's been elected to eradicate poverty, but also deal with the incredible violence and corruption in Mexico. 130 candidates or campaign officials were assassinated during that election cycle. The worry for me is what he'll do with Mexico's military. Will he pull that out of some of the drug enforcement? And will he enforce the migration coming up through Latin America that presses up against our U.S.-Mexico border?
I think he says he won't. He says they have a right to come here, is what I've heard from him. If he doesn't do that, does that enforce Trump's standard that we need a wall?
Well, I think a wall is a pretty good idea at this point. But down the road, Trump and President Obrador will have to work together, and I think there's a good chance they will. We've got to get him through this campaign rhetoric and see if he's really going to be the radical he says he is, or if he's more reasonable in dealing with the U.S.
Doctor, thank you so much for your time this morning. We do appreciate it.